Howdy and hello everyone, I'm Randy Goes Critic and your reviewer, and welcome back to another review, specifically a park review. This was originally supposed to be a minis episode, which is why I'm not in person, but who cares. This review will be about California's Great America, yes, the entire park. This is the first park review I'm doing. It was originally supposed to be about Sesame Place San Diego, until I realized that I only got about 10 shots of that park, and yeah, that wouldn't have gone well. So I decided, why not go and review a park that I have way too much footage of, half of it I probably won't even end up using in this video, but at least I overcompensated for that. And I will pretty much just be going over my visit, and then what I think the park can do better, and what I think the park already does good and should continue doing. So, let's get started. My visit to California's Great America, excluding the 5-hour drive from where I was to California's Great America, because just so happens that Southern California and Northern California are a few hours apart. So yeah, that was a very boring, hot, and genuinely terrible car ride. But after that, we got there 2 hours early. Yeah, this is why you don't visit a park in the off-season, because California's Great America in the off-season only operates on weekends, even during Thanksgiving break, which is when I visited, and it opens at 11 and closes at 6. So yeah, their operating hours are very small during that time, and that meant that I got there way too early, meaning that we just had to drive around the area, got some breakfast, blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff. But once the park opened, we headed straight for Gold Striker because it was right at the front of the park. So, I eventually got on Gold Striker, and that's when it hit me. The day I went was absolutely dead. And, well, it wasn't really that dead because it seemed like pretty much everyone just bottlenecked to Railblazer because Railblazer at some point had a 90-minute wait. But other than that, everything was 5 minutes, or in many cases, 0 minutes. Like, I managed to get on pretty much every single ride. The only 2 rides I had to wait for at any point were Grizzly and Railblazer. That's it. Everything else was a walk-on, and Gold Striker, I guess, but not really. So, I got on Gold Striker, and it was really good. I honestly didn't really think it was that rough. Maybe it's because I am very used to riding Giant Dipper at Belmont Park, which is 95 years old and basically kills your back every single time you ride it. So I guess I'm not really that vulnerable to rough wooden coasters, because apparently this is one of GCI's rougher coasters. But honestly, I felt like it was the same sort of consistency as Apocalypse at Magic Mountain, and that just got retracked. So I don't know. I don't really get what people say about Gold Striker being rough. It was very quick, very airtime filled, very fast paced, and I genuinely loved it. So I got right back in line and got 2 more rides on it before I decided to head over to the holy jewel, Railblazer. When I got to Railblazer, there was about a 5-minute line, and that may sound okay, but you have to realize that I had just gotten the luxury of being able to get on Gold Striker 3 times without any wait. So, thankfully, my mom, being the absolute legend she is, thinking that there would actually be waits at the park when we went, she had booked a fast lane for us in advance. Meaning that all we had to do was go over to the fast lane area and get our fast lane. And after I got my first 2 rides on Railblazer with a 2-minute wait, that's pretty much when I went over there and got the fast lane. So, after my first ride on Railblazer, I pretty much came off shocked. It was amazing. I've always had this weird thing about me with roller coasters. I seem to actually like the shorter rides better, which is why this is my #1 coaster over Twisted Colossus at Magic Mountain, because I honestly value shorter coasters better because I like that short pop, which means I get more re-rides on it, because I'm not satisfied the first one because I want more, meaning that I get right back in line. The thing is, this craving makes me like a ride less if there's a line. but because I had a fast lane, there was no line, which is why I like Railblazer so much. I got 8 rides on Railblazer that day. 8! And I still want more to this day, even though it's like a few months later, I still want more Railblazer rides, because that ride is so fun. It's not too intense. Well, I mean, like, it is very intense, like, really, really intense, but it's not, like, extreme intensity like I-305 or something like that, where it's constantly hitting you with it, and it's a very long ride of intensity. That can wear someone out, like me. But for a short ride like Railblazer, the intensity is just the correct amount, and that mixed with the airtime, the whippiness, the inversions, the everything about Railblazer, it makes me just love that ride so, so much. And that makes it so I just really wanted to get back in line, even though I hadn't gone the fast lane at that point, so I got 2 rides without the fast lane, and the rest of them all with the fast lane. Because as I said before, it had a 90-minute line at some point, and that is just no, I don't want to wait a 90 minutes for a 30-second ride. But after that, and I got a short little mini marathon on Railblazer, I decided to go over to Grizzly. And Grizzly was closed because of how unpopular Grizzly is, or at least what I first thought. They didn't open it until like an hour after the park was open, and this was about 30 minutes into the park being open. So instead of heading over to Grizzly, I headed over to Demon. And Demon is by far the most surprising coaster I've been on. Like, yeah, I've ridden rides like X2, but I kind of knew what to expect going into that, even if it was really intense, but Demon was just weird. Like, I've been on enough aero coasters to know how their transitions are, so that didn't really surprise me. What surprised me was the theming. Like, this is the most themed ride at Great America. Like, what the frick? Why don't all the other rides get this sort of treatment? Like, Demon has a tunnel with lights at the beginning of the ride, and, like, laughing, like, evil laughing, it's weird. And then after that, you go through the 2 inversions, and then there's just a random tunnel with just lights all around it, and then after that, you go through the second loop, and then you go into the mid-course, and then there's the classic, like, demon cave thing when you go through the 2 corkscrews, and then you end the ride. I did not expect that going in. I thought it would just be like a normal coaster, because I'm pretty sure that theming is new to 2021, like, because I watched old POVs and that theming wasn't there. So I don't know what was with Demon, but it was really cool, and that's the only reason why that's the only ride other than Gold Striker and Railblazer that I got multiple rides on, because I just wanted to real quick see what the frick I was experiencing, because that was just weird. So after that, I decided to head over to Psycho Mouse, the park's Aero Wild Mouse, and I can say that I now have what can be considered an actual rare credit, because yeah, I do have the Tidal Twister credit and the X2 credit, but those, well, I guess Tidal Twister is a rare credit because it's never freaking open, but X2, that's not really that rare because it's the only Aero force. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean. Yeah, I get what people mean when they say that Aero's Wild Mice were extremely overbuilt. There was way too much support, there was way too many catwalks, there was way too much of everything. Like, seriously, this ride, even though it was actually really smooth and really nice, and, like, it did provide some good forces, and there was, like, some nice little weird, not airtime, but, like, some half airtime at some points, it was just, yeah, I can see why these things were too much for the smaller parks. That's only something that a big chain would buy, and very obviously big chains do not want wild mice. So yeah, that makes sense. But I guess it has the award of being the best wild mouse I've ridden, which isn't really that big of an accomplishment because I haven't even ridden that many coasters in general, let alone wild mice, and just having the best wild mouse isn't really the best accomplishment now, is it? After a quick ride on the Sky Ride, which allowed me to see what happens when Railblazer sets up on the lift hill, and yes, I did get shots of that, as you can see here, we went over to the park's B&M floorless coaster, Patriot. Now, Patriot was okay. I mean, like, it was one of B&M's first ever coasters, which originally was called Vortex, and then they repainted it and gave it floorless trains to make it, Patriot. But I'm glad I experienced that with floorless trains, because considering my experience on Riddler's Revenge, I don't want to ride a stand-up coaster ever again. My legs will thank me for that. But yeah, Patriot was an okay ride. I don't really remember much from it, because honestly the layout was pretty forgettable. It had just basic elements that you'll see in many coasters today, and you can literally see the same inversions that Patriot has, but on Demon. So, and they're actually doubled on Demon too, so it's you're getting a better deal on Demon. So, yeah, Patriot was an okay ride. It's not the best at the park, but it's not the worst. And I guess this is a good time for me to mention that Flight Deck, park's B&M inverted coaster, was closed when I went. Why? I don't know, but from what I saw, it reopened the next week. So I just got unlucky, I guess, and there's more reason for me to come back to this park, because I seriously need to get Railblazer and also the 2 kiddie coasters, because I'm not waiting 20 minutes for a freaking kiddie coaster. You can't make me. And then after Patriot, it was officially time for re-rides, and I'm pretty sure you knew exactly what I was going for with this one. Gold Striker and Railblazer. Oh yeah, and also I got another ride on Grizzly, but honestly, I don't want to talk about Grizzly. Grizzly sucked. And then, after a few more re-rides on Gold Striker and Railblazer, and also one more on Demon, because I seriously need to re-experience that, I officially left Great America with a smile on my face. I can say that this park is a really, really good park. I really enjoyed my visit. The only thing I could say they could improve on is just genuinely just expand the park. I feel like this park has a bunch of potential, especially with it literally sharing parks with the San Francisco 49ers Stadium. Like, you cannot tell me that that doesn't provide them extra revenue. So, I think that rumor of them getting a B&M Hyper really could work for the park, and if they just expanded the park more, gave it some more coasters, rides, areas, all that stuff, I think this could really be one of the top tier Cedar Fair parks, up there with Cedar Point, Kings Island, Canada's Wonderland. So, I think that everything the park does right now, other than just general size, and not really the operations either. The operations are really good. I think almost everything the park does right now is actually really good. I really liked the general atmosphere of the park. I liked how everything was laid out. I like how the best coasters were very easy to reach and were right near each other. I liked how the entire park was just genuinely a good place, and I just personally thought it was really good. However, that pretty much just concludes this review. So, yeah, this is a video that I originally was planning on being a mini episode, but it ended up being a lot longer than I thought it would end up being. So, yeah, this is why it's a normal episode, except you can't actually see me in person in this one. Then also, I may just do more of these non-in-person videos, just so that I can get a main episode out to y'all, so that you can have some nice sustenance. But, anyway, hope you liked this video. Subscribe if you haven't yet. If you'd like even more beyond subscribing, leave a like. And I was Ray the Coaster Critic, you're the viewer, and I'll see you in the future. Goodbye.